Once you get your Arduino connected to the internet, the question becomes, okay, now what do I do? It's easy enough to scrape a website to find some data or potentially send an email or something like that interacting with the server. But to really take advantage of the Internet of Things, you typically need some kind of web service. And there's lots of them out there, and we're going to take a look at a few here. Not all of them, certainly not all of them. There are just so many. But today we're going to look at some of the basics that are more maker-friendly and talk about the ones I've used in the past and ones that I think are probably easier for you to integrate with your Arduino prototype. So we'll get started with probably the most well-known one outside of maybe Amazon Web Services. And I don't necessarily recommend Amazon Web Services using it with your Arduino prototype, at least not in the beginning, or at least not until you have a very competent technical team member to help you navigate all the nuances of using something like that. I'm talking about some simpler sites that will actually run code for you and create the triggers for you, and then actually go out and reach out to your Arduino to cause something. The first one is probably the most famous, like I said, outside of Amazon Web Services, and it's If This Then That, IFTTT.com. And it's not exactly the easiest one to use with an Arduino, although they do have what they call their maker channel now. It makes it a lot easier. And they set up triggers and actions and help you easily integrate your Arduino with some information from the internet. So you might be watching a specific news site and have some kind of information trigger your Arduino to light up or notify you. And that's kind of how If This Then That works, although they definitely seem to focus more on creating their own apps and their own do button that you can run on your iPhone than necessarily supporting Arduino. But it's there and it works. I like it. It's definitely a cool website if you're not familiar with it. One that is making things a lot easier is ThingSpeak, and that's the one that I created my Cheerlight with. That's this project right here that has LEDs inside, and these LEDs change color based on a tweet it receives. Now, the way that works, much like all of these web services, is it's watching Twitter for me. And when it sees, oh, Cheerlight got a tweet, and it sees the word red, or it sees whatever that trigger might be, it now will connect down through the API to my Arduino and make an action happen. That's essentially how this project works. I like it a lot. It was fairly easy to use. I wouldn't say there's that many projects or examples, but you can see on their website, it's very easy to integrate with Arduino and Particle, Photon, and the Raspberry Pi, and the IMP, and all these different programs out here. So they really made it quite maker-friendly. Another one is Temboo. Temboo I like quite a bit. They even advertise Arduino on their website. And again, it's a web service that will allow you to generate code or generate actions based on some kind of monitoring through the internet. Another one that's pretty interesting is Adafruit IO. And what Adafruit IO does, better than really the rest, is it allows you much higher levels of control. And you can see a little screenshot here of their control panel. You can actually design control panels and have gauges and monitors and sliders, and it's really easy to integrate with your Arduino project. Now, that being said, there is one concern. I'm very hesitant to launch a product relying on these web services, even Amazon or any of them, because what happens when they go out of business? Now, do I think Adafruit's going out of business anytime soon? No. Do I think that a company like ThingSpeak or If This Then That could be bought out by somebody else? Sure. And then could they change the way their APIs work? Yes. Now, what do you do after you've deployed all these products out there and you're relying on it and their API changes, or they go out of business, or something just changes? So that's something to seriously consider while prototyping your project. You very well might want to try and roll your own server with your own proprietary code on it that connects to your prototype or your final product, because then at least you're in control of what happens to that server and what happens for software upgrades going forward. So just keep that in mind. It's a little scary to rely on third parties when launching your product.